I've always been a fan of what some people would consider inconsequential hand props from movies. In this video, I'm going to build one of my favorites, the Endor bunker bomb from Return of the Jedi. There's a link in the description to download all my files if you want to build it along with me, so let's get started. I printed out the body pieces on my filament printer and the smaller detail pieces on my resin printer. Because of the dry time of the metallic spray paint I'm using, I'm going to start working on all of the smaller metal pieces first. I've pre-assembled some of the parts, since they'll all receive the same paint treatment, and will stick them to a piece of scrap wood with a few pieces of carpet tape before giving them a base coat of primer. The carpet tape will keep them from rolling away while I'm painting, and can easily be removed for installation. Once the primer is dried, I'll apply a coat of gloss black and set them aside to dry. While we wait for the small parts to dry, I'm going to get started on the larger parts. 3D printed props often require a ton of sanding, but there are rare occasions when the item you're working on needs a bit more character. Thankfully, this is one of those times. So aside from some minor cleanup, and gluing on the 2 boot stud pieces with a bit of CA glue, we can jump right into priming all of our larger pieces. While the primer dries, I'm going to switch back to our smaller pieces and apply the metallic chrome finish. These parts will take a full 24 hours to dry, so if you're using the same paint that I am, you'll want to do these parts first and give them as much time possible to dry before handling. When they finally dried, I'll seal them with a satin clear coat to dull down the metallic shine just a bit. Now that the primer is dried on our larger parts, I'll take the body and mask off roughly 3/16 of an inch along the bottom edge to ensure the parts will fit together once it's painted, since the next 2 layers will add some bulk to our parts. I'll start with a dark brown fine texture paint, making sure to get good overall coverage. You can add as many layers of this as you'd like to build up the texture. When I'm happy with the fine texture paint, I'll switch to Super 77 spray adhesive to add a bit more. This method adds more character, but has a much softer texture than the regular texture spray paints do. Keep the can about 18 inches from your parts to help keep the application consistent. When I'm happy with the level of texture, I'll switch over to a lighter brown spray paint, and I'll dust this color over the base and body pieces in quick bursts. We're not looking for solid coverage. This will help create a more mottled look in the overall paint and give it that found parts feel that's so indicative of the Star Wars aesthetic. With the larger pieces painted, I'll set them aside to dry. Next up, there's some accents and a bit of text on the side that needs to be added. Based on the reference photos, it appears that these accents were painted with a brush, so I'm going to follow suit. I'll mask off where the accents should go, and then I'll fill them in using acrylic paint, since it's what I had on hand that most closely matched the colors from the screen used prop. The last accent is a small bit of text on the side of the body. I made myself a stencil on my vinyl cutter, but this could definitely be done by hand. Now that everything is dry, we can move on to assembly. I'll use a drill to bore out the mounting holes, which will help all of my painted parts fit better, and will also give me a fresh, unpainted surface to apply glue to. All of the parts should fit snugly, so it won't take much to get them all seated in their mounting holes. I left the inside of the body hollow in case I decide later to install LED lights, but for now, I'm going to glue in place these red LED lenses. I've also added 4 slots on the insert mount to accommodate 8 neodymium magnets, since these were designed to be stuck to metal just like in the movie. Make sure the polarity of your magnets is consistent by stacking them before adding some glue in the slots and pushing them in 2 at a time. Then glue on the magnetic insert, capturing the magnets in between the 2 prints. And with that step taken care of, we're done with the assembly. Now we can move on to aging. I won't go too heavy since it's assumed this is a new part. I mean, you can't reuse a grenade, right? I'll work my wax paints down into the recesses before wiping off any excess, and will repeat this process until I'm happy with how it looks. Now you can set it aside to dry and admire your hard work. Well, that's going to do it for this video. If you want to see more tutorials like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell to be alerted the next time I put out another one. And until then, go make something. How do I turn this thing off?